Hey guys, Jamie here. Welcome back to another episode. Today's motovlog. I'm hopefully going to try and get out on the Lexmoto Venom with Chris for a bit, as I plan to meet up with him for a short while. So that should be pretty cool. So guys, I haven't actually uploaded the previous episode as of now. I still need to finish off some editing to it and then get it uploaded, but obviously you'll be seeing this one after the previous one if you've even watched it. So hopefully you know the editing was all good for it. The clips about the equipment and gear I used recorded on my iPhone, hopefully that all worked, and hopefully the footage of the little incident on the Coventry Road was visible enough for you guys to see. So guys, here we are on the Venom. And take it nice and easy because I'm not so used to this bike. So my first sort of note I can make about the Venom is you feel it isn't as comfortable, in my opinion. It still does have that gear issue that I told you about on the ZSX, but compared to the ZSX it does feel a lot smoother in some ways. It does feel a lot more sportier too. I think it's you're slightly more sat forward, not sat forward, you're slightly more leant forward on the bike, which is quite cool. The gear shifter's quite solid compared to the ZSX. It doesn't feel as flimsy as the Lexmoto ZSX. You feel a lot more stable on the bike compared to the ZSX. I'm going to stop saying that because it gets a bit annoying. But yeah, things I like about the Venom, it's a lot more quicker off the line than the ZSX. For starters, the acceleration's quite chunky on it, to be honest. However, the top speed isn't as high, but that's not really a major issue just for a 125. But in terms of pulling away, it does feel a lot more responsive than the ZSX does. Gear changes are quite nice, and if I give it a bit of welly, when it gets going, it's actually a really nice bike to ride on. The only things I could say my only comparison to my bike from this is this feels it feels a lot more comfortable to sit on. The seat is quite wide compared to the ZSX, whereas the ZSX is a lot more narrower, I suppose. So it hurts my hips a little bit sitting on this. But again, it isn't a major concern really. I mean, if you were going to buy either a ZSX or a Venom, it's completely up to you, obviously, what you ride. But the Venom is a really nice bike. The rear brake lever also feels a bit more higher compared to the ZSX. Well, it doesn't really matter at the moment because my brake lever is about as high as this one, from the little incident I had the other night in the last episode. So that's it's not really a major thing. I really do like this bike. It was a toss-up between the ZSX and the Venom, if I'm being honest. For me, the only reason I went for the ZSX is it's got a bigger fuel tank, not by much, bit of a better top end, and it just sort of, I don't know, I prefer the styling really, the looks compared to the Venom. even though the Venom is a very nice bike to ride. It's a lot taller than the ZSX as well. Downside, I'm not a keen fan of the speedo, all these gizmos down here. I'm not a fan of how you've got the speedo in an analog read, and you've got the revometer in a digital view. Again, it's only a little basic thing compared to the ZSX, but I just like having a digital speedo because I think it displays the speed a bit more better. You know, it's easier to look down at and just see what sort of speed you're doing. So that's another good point about that bike, and another bad point about this bike. But again, that's all down to, you know, what you prefer. There's not really much of a difference. This has a gear indicator. It shows the time, which is quite handy. It has an oil gauge as well. Shows you how the bike's doing on oil, which doesn't on the ZSX. The lights, the headlights and the rear light comes on as standard. It's a bit like a moped in that sense, where it has a light on a standard, which I suppose is quite a good safety feature compared to the ZSX, where it's just a, you know, there's an actual switch and you can choose what, you know, whether you have the lights on or off. So that's another good thing about this bike, or it could be viewed as a bad thing, but either way. But I'm going to jump off now and have a little walk around, show you guys. Okay then guys, we've got the Lexmoto Venom here, which I promised I'd do a video on eventually when I got round to getting out with Chris. Give a quick walk around. So it's a 2015 Lexmoto Venom. From you guys already know, it's one of the later models that Lexmoto have released out of its newer range, which has got quite a lot of good feedback really from other bike reviews and other YouTubers on, you know, that do reviews anyway. BaronVonGrumble did quite an interesting episode on Chinese motorcycles, which I'll put a link to the description, but that was quite entertaining and really good. So yeah, first of all I'm going to start off with the style and the looks. In my opinion, it's... Hello, Chris. Right, in my opinion, it's like the style of the bike is really nice. It's a lot better looking than other Lexmoto models out there. You'll have to excuse it being a bit dirty at the moment. Chris hasn't got a chance to get round and give it a clean, but nevertheless, my one was dirty when I did my video. So yeah, so the Lexmoto decals and stickers on the bike make it look quite sporty really, although I'm not a huge fan of them anyway, but I do like the paint job they've done on it. Compared to the ZSX, it's a lot better quality than the ZSX, because like I said in my video, the stickers on there were like a plastic silver shiny sticker, which were a bit warped because of the heat when I had the bike delivered, so they came off when I got them. But apart from that, I think it looks like quite an attractive bike really. Thank you. Yeah, no problem, Chris. Chris had a little accident when he was on his way home the other day. You can see just some scuffage to the mirror, to the front brake, that's it, and to the bar ends. He did a little bit of minor damage to the rear brake pedal lever thing. I'll post a picture of what it looked like just before. I'll put a picture on after, just showing you what it looked like, but his stepdad has sort of fixed that for him, which is all good. like I said in the clip before as well, it's got a little area here where on the ZSX you've got a headlight and tail light switch, either off or like daytime lights or nighttime lights, whereas this bike doesn't have it, which I think is a good feature because it means that, as you can see, when the bike's on, the headlight and brake light is on as standard, which is a rather good safety feature. You can see it's done 1,049 miles so far. It's had its first service a week and something ago, which went through fine. Just some minor, little changes to it. I'll start the bike up now so you guys can hear what it sounds like, but it might be a bit windy, so apologies. Bit of poppage from the exhaust. That's what she sounds like, which is all good. One downside to the bike, which I found compared to the ZSX, is the amount of storage you get. That's all the storage you actually get on the Venom, which is enough really for a disc lock and the toolkit that comes with the bike as standard. But unlike the ZSX, you can't actually store like your gloves or any waterproofs in there, which is a downside. But for the style of the bike, you don't really need much storage. You get a tank bag or a backpack, that's it works just as fine. But again, that's not necessarily a bad thing about the bike, it's just a downside which I've picked up on. The bike is actually heavier than the ZSX. If you look on the Lexmoto page about the bikes, the bike is heavier, but not by a lot really. I think it's just a slightly bigger chassis, to be honest, and it's a bigger bike from head to toe. When you're sitting on a bike, you do feel a lot taller than when you're sitting on the ZSX, but again, it doesn't really affect the performance. Like I said, the acceleration is pretty good on the bike compared to the ZSX, where the ZSX has got a slightly bigger top end, but the Venom has got a better acceleration really, which is good if you're pulling away from the lights or whatever. Now, because I'm only on this bike for a short amount of time, for reasons you probably know, but I'm not going to say because it's a bit naughty, but because I'm only on it for a short amount of time, I apologise if I've repeated anything or say anything that doesn't really need to be said. But I'm trying to squeeze in as much as I can about this bike before I get back to mine, so apologies. The handling on this bike feels a lot more responsive than the ZSX as well. I've noticed that, even though the tyres on Lexmotos and a lot of other cheaper bikes, when you first get them, even though the tyres are sort of poor quality or not the best that you could possibly have, I do find these tyres to be a lot more grippier than the ZSX. Handling's a lot more responsive, and it just feels like a lot more sportier. It feels like you can throw it around a bit more compared to the ZSX. I mean, the ZSX is more of a touring bike in my opinion, whereas this is more of a sports bike. But it's always fun. So I've reached the end anyway now of my ride on the Venom. I hope I've covered most of the things. I hope you guys find it, quite informing, and hopefully, if you guys have got any questions about the bike, shoot them over and I'll happily answer them. We'll get Chris to answer them for you. So yeah, there we go, the Lexmoto Venom.